You know, one of my biggest pet peeves is whenever someone says, well, there's a whole lot of people believes the earth is flat. There's a whole lot of people that believes we never landed on the moon. There's a whole lot of people that believes JFK Jr. is still alive, as if to say because people believes in it, it gives it credibility. There are a whole lot of people who believe in a lot of bald-faced lies, but that does not make those lies come any closer to being the truth. There's a whole lot of people out there that believes the 2020 election was stolen, and that does not make it to be true. And that's one of the biggest problems that we face in this country. It's not just the misinformation that's out there floating around. It's not just the conspiracy theories that are out there floating around. It's the fact that people prop it up, and because it's floating around, they give it credibility. I was really glad to see these next couple of clips I'm going to show you here from CNN, because this stuff never really gets talked about in the mainstream media. So I hope we see more of this, and I am glad that Anderson Cooper did just bring a reality check here. Just because people believes that the 2020 election was stolen does not make it true. Roll the clip.
He's lying about this in Pennsylvania. There's no widespread election voter fraud. There's no evidence of it in mail-in ballots. People just discount this. It just like, at this point, it's just like, oh, this is what he does. But is this acceptable? I mean, he's basically, I mean, do you think this is acceptable?
Listen, Anderson, there are a lot of folks out there, literally millions of Americans who had a big problem with 2020.
Well, I know, but
just
factually, they don't have any evidence. Like, courts looked at it. I know a lot of people because it's promoted on a lot of networks and a lot of radio networks, but just saying a lot of people feel this doesn't make it true. I think you know it's not true, I assume, but there's no evidence.
Look, as I said before, there are tons of irregularities in the 2020 election that never happened before, right? There are people who have problems with it, and that's something for your network to investigate. I think it's a good topic.
What are the tons of irregularities?
Sure. Suspension of state laws that didn't happen before COVID, drop boxes that are unsecure. There's tons of things out there that changed in 2020 that are still there now. I think this is, as I said, look, I ran in 2020 and I lost in 2020, but there are many people, to include folks in my family, who had issues with the way that 2020 was handled, had issues with Zuckerbucks, for example, hundreds of millions of dollars being sent through nonprofits to get out the vote.
Right. There's people who think the earth is flat. Again, it doesn't. There's people around the dinner table who think the earth is flat.
Anderson,
it doesn't make it real.
What I just mentioned to you are those are facts. Those are facts.
Yeah.
Notice how he just keeps circling back to a whole lot of people believe this. A whole lot of people have a problem with this, as if to say that lends it any credibility. They believe it because people continue to push lies. And I would like to point out that before the 2020 election ever happened, as a matter of fact, you could go all the way back to 2016 and point to Donald Trump saying that he figured it would be rigged if he lost then. And then he started saying it in early 2020, the only way I can lose this thing is if it's rigged. He went ahead and he planted those seeds of distrust in everyone's head. So in case he lost, and he did, then he could say, see, I told you it was rigged. Now, had he won, do you think he would have ever said he thinks it was rigged? Do you think he would have ever been asking him to look into it to make sure he won it fair and square? And you had people all over the country, you had Republicans all over this country that won their elections. So are you saying theirs were fake too? If you're saying there were problems with the 2020 election, so Marjorie Taylor Greene was voted in that year. Was her election fake? Should we look into that? And just because someone can dig up a link that says something doesn't make it true. I know so many people out there who will believe something just because they're crazy Fox News watching Uncle sent it to them on Facebook, and they believe it to be true. Oh, did you see that? Well, yeah, I saw it, but there's no evidence to back it up. Well, that's because they wouldn't let them show the evidence. Oh, well, I heard that link got took down. Well, yeah, that's because they're trying to silence us. So they've just always got a built-in scapegoat, and you're never going to be able to make any progress with people like that. Even when you bring this receipt and point out that, yeah, there was people that tried to overturn the 2020 election, and Donald Trump was at the head of that. Take a look at this.
Well, let me go to you. I mean, what's interesting is that
if you don't,
there are people who committed election fraud, and they are attorneys allegedly working for the former president who actually, orchestrated a plan to get voting machines, take them to hotel rooms and break into them, and they're being prosecuted right now in states throughout the United States.
Absolutely, and those people have, some of them have pled guilty, and the others have been indicted. And those are staffers as close to the former president, one of whom was actually his former chief of staff. But Anderson, the reason I want to jump in here is because you talked about evidence of cheating, and there is actual evidence of trying to cheat the election. It was President Trump. He called Georgia's Secretary of State and asked for 11,000 votes. You could actually cue that video. There's audio of it. He doesn't even deny it. He was impeached the first time for attempting to try to cheat the election. And then to your point, he launched a national scheme to actually do that. And when he did not succeed, what did he do? He threw an entire tantrum and incited an insurrection, a deadly insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. So the only evidence of trying to cheat the election, to your point, is coming from Donald Trump. And I'm not sure how Republicans can defend his actions and call themselves patriotic. I think that is really what's confronting them now. It's the truth is in front of them. They're denying it, to the former congressman's point. And we need to actually just be honest with American people. It's Donald Trump who consistently tries to cheat the election.
And you know, the most frustrating part of all of this is we do have the evidence that Donald Trump tried to cheat. We do have him on audio. We do have him on video. And we have January 6th that we can go back and show him, here he is inciting a riot on our nation's capital. But they will sit there and see that, and they will pick out this one little part over here where he said, let's go down here and peacefully protest. Let's be peaceful. And they'll try to pass it off like that gives the whole thing a pass. No, it doesn't, because ever since election of 2020 happened, for the weeks leading up to January 6th, he set and pushed bald-faced lies. He pushed conspiracy theories until he got a bunch of people worked up and showed up on January 6th. And then when he said the words "fight like hell," they didn't hear peaceful protest after that, because they already had went there with the idea that they were going to overthrow the government. They went there to hang the vice president if he certified the results. They went there and kicked down doors, put their feet on Pelosi's desk, walked through the halls with the Confederate flag waving. I mean, we have all those receipts, and you can put all that hard evidence right in front of them, and they'll still try to split it and say, well, you're not really seeing what you think you saw, or you're not really hearing what you think you heard. And that's because they've been duped by their cult leader, and they're trying to bring his act over and gaslight the rest of us. But just imagine, if you will, if I said to you guys, folks, there's a purple dragon right here on this banister. You see him? Right there he is, purple dragon. You better believe in that purple dragon. If you don't believe in that purple dragon will breathe fire up your ass for all of eternity, okay? Now, I mean, you can't see him, but you can't prove he ain't there. You don't know. You're just watching a YouTube video. I mean, he could be there for real. He could be sitting there right now. You don't know. Now, imagine if all of a sudden this caught on and suddenly people were saying, yeah, there's a purple dragon on the banister in Brando's videos. And then someone said, hey, I've never seen this dragon. It's not there. But, well, there's a whole lot of people believes it is. A whole lot of people out there believes it is. That's how insane that this all sounds. And that's how insane Maga sounds when they sit there and they repeat these same old My Pillow talking points over and over and over again, as if to say that gives it credibility. It doesn't. And they're going to lose again, and they're going to cry conspiracy again, because they cannot wrap their minds around the fact that people are tired of their shit. But we've been tired of it for a long time. I truly believe they are the minority. I just believe that's why we have to show up and vote, and not just on the side of democracy, but on the side of common sense and reason and facts and evidence. They don't have it. And you sure as hell don't want people like that leading us. Can you imagine being led again by those people? It was bad enough the first time. It would be even worse this time, because a victory would just give them credibility in their mind. They would just think, oh, see there, we was right all along. And they would be even more empowered to do all the crazy things they say and do. So, yeah, make sure that your voter registration is up to date. Make sure you're ready to go, and cast your vote on the side of democracy and decency and common sense and reason and logic and facts and all that good stuff, and leave this conspiracy theory stuff over here. And just because people believe in it doesn't mean there's a purple dragon sitting there.